A beautiful morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Business Insight. I am Alfreda Ambe Bassi. Today we are diving into the exciting world of information technology, where opportunities for growth and cross-border collaboration are on the horizon. Stay tuned as we explore how these industries are coming together to shape our digital future. But before that, as it is the custom of the show, let's feed you first with major business updates and market trends after this break. Thank you for staying with us. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has recently entered into a significant Memorandum of Understanding MOU with Indorama Eleme Petrochemicals Limited to facilitate the supply of natural gas to large-scale gas utilization industries. Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, during the Nigeria-India Business Forum in New Delhi, India, said that NNPCL and Indorama are collaborating on a potential $7 billion investment in the petrochemical sector in Nigeria over the short term. Kyari emphasized that India has become an increasingly important market for Nigeria's crude oil, condensates, and liquefied natural gas (LNG), presenting opportunities for substantial investments in both the upstream and downstream segments of the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. In alignment with these developments, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu expressed his administration's readiness to welcome more investments into Nigeria. He acknowledged that Indorama had previously faced persistent issues with NNPCL, which he promptly intervened in, resulting in a resolution of the matter within 21 days. And away from that, Boa Cement PLC, under the leadership of Chairman Abdul Samad Rabiu, has unveiled plans to significantly reduce the price of cement in Nigeria. The company aims to bring down the cost of cement from the current rate of 5,500 naira per bag to a more affordable range estimated between 3,000 naira and 3,500 naira per bag. This decision was announced following a meeting with Rabiu and President Bola Tinubu. Boa Cement is set to expand its operations with the addition of 2 new plants, which will boost its total production capacity to 17 million metric tons. The anticipated price reduction is part of Boa Cement's commitment to supporting the government's initiative to make essential commodities more affordable for Nigerians. And moving on, Bitcoin has demonstrated resilience by ending a 4-week price decline and recording its first weekly gain since August. Currently valued at approximately $26,458, despite facing strong resistance, there is substantial buying support at the $26,000 level. While U.S. inflation increased by 0.6% in August, largely due to rising gasoline prices, it is expected that the Federal Reserve will maintain its stance by keeping interest rates unchanged at its upcoming policy meeting, which is reassuring to market participants. Bitcoin's market capitalization has surpassed $516 billion, with a 24-hour trading volume of around $11.3 billion, indicating increased liquidity. And moving on, China and Zambia have elevated their relationship to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership, with Chinese President Xi Jinping expressing support for Zambia's national sovereignty and encouraging increased imports from the country. The two nations intend to expand cooperation in areas such as infrastructure, agriculture, mining, and clean energy. Zambia is seeking to restructure its external debt with China and enhance trade ties with the world's second-largest economy. China, a major importer of Zambian exports, has substantial commercial interest in Zambia, with investments in her various sectors valued at $11.3 billion. And moving on, return airfares from the UAE to multiple destinations have dropped by 15 to 20% after a summer of increased ticket rates. Also, business class rates have seen significant declines, providing relief for travelers with upcoming plans. These lower fares are expected to last until November or early December before the peak holiday season drives prices up by 10 to 15% or more. UAE and Gulf Airlines are running substantial promotions to keep travelers interested during this period, with discounts and deals available. While fares have decreased on various routes, some destinations have experienced fare increases. The United Kingdom has announced an increase in student visa application fees from €127 to €490, marking a substantial 285% increase. This change is scheduled to take effect on October 4th, following the introduction of new legislation in Parliament. The reason behind this fee hike, according to the Home Office, is to ensure that the immigration system can sustain itself without relying on funding from British taxpayers. The United Kingdom is a popular destination for many Nigerian students pursuing education abroad. In 2022, the UK granted over 65,000 students visas to Nigerians, representing a significant 79% increase compared to the previous year. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has allocated €500 million equivalent to approximately $621 million in funding to Tata Steel to support the decarbonization efforts at its Welsh facility. This comprehensive funding package, totaling €1.25 billion, includes a €750 million investment contributed by Tata. This investment aims to facilitate the transition from coal-powered methods to lower-emission electric arc furnaces. While the agreement is expected to protect 5,000 jobs, it may potentially lead to the loss of around 3,000 jobs due to the reduced labor requirements associated with electric furnaces. Currently, Tata Steel UK employs more than 8,000 individuals. The primary objective of this initiative is to ensure the future sustainability of the UK steel industry while simultaneously reducing carbon emissions. And moving on, TikTok, the Chinese-owned social media platform, has been fined €345 million by a European Union regulator for child data breaches. The Ireland Data Protection Commission, DPC, imposed this administrative fine equivalent to $369 million following a 2-year inquiry into TikTok's practices. DPC has given TikTok 3 months to bring its data processing procedures in line with EU regulations. Investigation began in September 2021, focusing on TikTok's compliance with the General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR, regarding user data, especially those under 18. The DPC found that TikTok had set accounts of children to public by default and criticized its age verification in family pairing mode. TikTok, popular among young people with millions of users in the US and EU, has expressed disagreement with the fine and it's evaluating its response. And away from that, Federal Reserve losses have exceeded $100 billion according to central bank data released recently, with expectations that this figure will continue to rise. The U.S. Central Bank is currently paying more in interest costs than it is earning from bond holdings and financial sector services. The Fed's losses have been attributed to its efforts to raise interest rates significantly, with rates currently at 5.25% to 5.50%. Although inflation pressures have subsided, the losses will continue to mount due to the impact of high short-term rates. The losses are expected to diminish over time as the Fed gradually shrinks its balance sheet, aligning with its rate hikes. This primary source of liquidity targeted by the Fed is bank reserves and inflows into its reverse repo facility. Repo facility is financing structure commonly utilized to finance mortgage loans. Updates from the capital, commodities, and current markets are next after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Data from the most recent trading at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, shows a total of 488,868,748 shares were traded in 6,972 deals. This trading activity corresponded to a market value of approximately 5,233,606,834 Nigerian naira and 22 kobo. Compared to the previous trading day, there was a 48% decrease in trading, a 63% decrease in turnover, and a 21% decrease in the number of deals. The current total market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at approximately 36,900 billion Nigerian naira. During the trading session, a total of 118 equities listed on the NGX participated, resulting in 29 gainers and 19 losers. Among the gainers, Charms showed the most significant increase with a 10% rise in share price, closing at 1.10 naira per share. This was followed by Cortex, Cornerstone Insurance Company, and Cavitin Offshore Support Group. On the losing side, Corn Oil experienced the most significant price decline, with a 10% decrease, closing at 89.10 per share naira. This was followed by MRS Oil Nigeria, Associated Boss Company, and Tantalizers. The stock with the highest trading volume was Sterling Bank, with approximately 82.3 million shares traded, followed by Transcorp Nigeria United Bank for Africa and Guarantee Trust Holding. Away from Nigerian Stock Exchange, at the end of the last weekday of trading on the Lusaka Securities Exchange in Zambia, a total of 147,450 shares in 15 deals, corresponding to a market value of Zambian kwacha 1,026,961 and 66 ngwi were traded. Compared with the previous loose trading day, Friday's data shows a 73% decline in volume, a 72% decline in turnover, and a 78% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Lusaka Securities Exchange is Zambian kwacha 81.8 billion. In the aggregate, 6 loose-listed equities participated in trading. There were no gainers nor losers. Zambian breweries recorded the highest volume of 144,000 traded shares, followed by Zambeef Products, 1,142, Chilanga Cement, 1,000, and Standard Chartered Bank, 700. In the commodity market, several trends have surfaced. Wheat is presently priced at 603.75 US cents per bushel. Meanwhile, the previous metal gold continues to exhibit strength at a price of 1,923.58 US dollars per troy ounce. Silver is valued at $23.01 per troy ounce, and copper is trading at $3.76 per pound. Additionally, Brent crude oil is priced at 93.93 US dollars per barrel. In the parallel market today, the exchange rates as follows. The US dollar can be purchased at 950 naira and sold at 955 naira. For the British pound, it can be bought at 1,200 naira and sold at 1,210 naira. And as for the euro, it is available for purchase at 1,000 naira and can be sold at 1,010 naira. And that is it on today's episode of Business News. I am Alfreda Ambebasi. Coming up is a conversation with Blessing Ache on the vast growth potential and the possibilities of international collaboration in the fields of information technology and financial services. Keep watching Business Insight.
Glad to know you stay tuned to Business Insights. I am Blessing Aichi. This is the point where we'll take extensive look at business and economic issues, providing great insight for you. Now, after looking at areas where there are investment opportunities in Nigeria last week, now this is a time for us to look for areas where there are potentials for growth and collaboration within Africa, looking at regional opportunities for Nigeria in different areas. Now, today the focus will be on information technology and technology services. And we have with us Ibrahim Suleiman, who is a technology expert, to look at these areas for potential growth and, of course, collaboration in Africa. For Nigeria, there are countries in Africa that are doing well in technology, and Nigeria happens to be one of those countries. So what can Nigeria do about that? Because the aim is not to play local, but it is to move beyond Nigeria and explore areas where it can share expertise, where it can collaborate with other industries within Africa that are excelling, and also partner with other businesses that are excelling as far as information technology is concerned. Now, it's also good to know that Nigeria has done pretty well when it comes to financial services. We're talking about fintech, but there are more work to be done and there is room for growth. So we'll go to a quick break and then we'll bring in our guest. Stay tuned. All right, joining us via Zoom is Ibrahim Suleiman, who is a technology expert. Good morning, welcome to Business Insights.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, let's look at the areas where there are potentials for growth and also collaboration for Nigeria when it comes to information technology. But briefly, can you talk to us about how well Nigeria has done when it comes to information technology? Because a report last year, talking about 2022, showed that there are some countries that have edged Nigeria when it comes to the provision of information technology and how well they've adapted to technology, talking about South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Tunisia. How well is Nigeria doing before we look at how we can explore growth potentials in the region?
Well, great question, and thank you for having me again. Quite humble. So how well has Nigeria done in terms of technology? I'm an optimist all the time. So I would always say that Nigeria is doing well. There's more that can be done, but because there's a lot of challenges that we face as a large country. So but with those challenges come a lot of opportunities that exist for technology experts, for technology companies to be able to hone in on and be able to come up with products and services that can better the lives of Nigerians. Kenya, South Africa, Egypt. I think last year they got more funding in the tech space than Nigerian did, and I think Nigeria did, and I don't think that Nigeria really did terribly, because some funding still came into our tech sector. A lot of new fintech products came up. A lot of funding in the agri sector, in payments, in in loans and so on and so forth. So yeah, we're not doing so bad, but there's so much to be done in the tech space in Nigeria and to be able to attract more funding in Nigeria.
Okay, that report also showed that Lagos is renowned for tech startups, but there is a disconnect between the city and other parts of the country, majorly because of infrastructural challenges. So what policies, what can Nigeria do to encourage these local tech startups to expand and to have a wider reach, not just within Nigeria, but also across Africa?
Okay, yeah. So I mentioned something on the last segment where I was talking about the startup act that was signed last year. So in this act, a lot of challenges that were envisaged or that have been experienced so far are things that have been looked at into this. Of course, implementation is always the bane in Nigeria. So hopefully, we hope that with the new government that they are able to key into this policy and help scale it up across. So yeah, Lagos has been a hub for tech startups and financial services, and it is no brainer, just like you said, because there's a lot of infrastructure, and I dare to say also because of the knowledge that exists within that space. So there's a lot the level of tech awareness, the level of service awareness is a little bit higher in Lagos than you would find in most other parts of the country. So in Abuja, it's also taking shape, and there are some tech hubs here and there, startups here and there, doing amazing things for enabling government services, enabling government products, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a gradual thing, and as this awareness, this service awareness, this tech awareness takes over or moves across the country, across the city centers, into those particular, into the other states and into the rural areas. And I think that we'll begin to see a surge of more products, more tech products that will cater to the diverse problems that exist in all of these places. So I think beyond government advocacy, beyond government also trying to use technology to enable some of their own services, which they are doing in some ways. I think that there needs to be some level of tech awareness and advocacy for tech awareness and advocacy for service awareness. So that these things become almost like a basic thing that you find everywhere. And with that, people are able to begin to think out of the box. People are able to begin to innovate. And the moment people are beginning to innovate, then it becomes it catch fire. So I would like to see a place in Aba, where locally within that particular place, people begin to think of, oh, how can technology help us sell most of these goods that we create? How can technology help to improve the quality of the goods that we create? How can technology help us to reach more people? And you already that on social media, people for us and so forth. So yeah, so we can do more. There's so to think that awareness, that service awareness, that service culture.
All right, in the area of fintech, Nigeria has really done well. So are there potential growth for Nigeria, or even areas of collaboration where Nigeria can facilitate cross-border transactions?
Yeah, so much. I think today some of our products have moved beyond Nigeria. So companies like Fairways, companies like even I would like to say that Momo, which is a product of MTN. So So those kind of products have gone outside the shores of Nigeria, and they are doing quite well. And I think that there is more that can be done. I think that establishing those kind of, fostering those kind of regional tech collaborations would work. Investment-friendly policy, that is the ease of doing business. Those are some of the things that trigger and intrigue most of these companies to be able to want to do business in other countries. So tax incentives, repatriation of profits, and so on and so forth. So these are the kind of things. These are some of the challenges that we faced in Nigeria, and I know these are the kind of things that most countries put in place. Most forward-thinking countries put in place to be able to attract techpreneurs, tech investors. Before the ban of Nigerians to Dubai, I know a lot of techpreneurs were moved into Dubai, especially the crypto at the time, at the height of the ban by CBN of crypto. A lot of them moved to Dubai because those are friendly. Ecosystems to techpreneurs, and with a lot of people there doing amazing work. Most of those things would have come into Nigeria if Nigeria had a more open to that aspect of tech, with proper regulations and proper KYC and so on and so forth. So I think investment-friendly policies would be some of the things that drive these kind of collaborations. So I know there's been a back and forth between Flutterwave and Kenya's authority freezing their assets and so on and so forth. So these are things that oftentimes slow down this movement into other countries. But I believe that Nigeria has become taking lessons from all of this, and we're able to better.
Okay, away from fintech, let's look at telecom. Now, Nigeria is regarded as Africa's largest ICT market, with about 82% of telecom subscribers in Nigeria. When you look at the entire Africa, you have 82% of Africa's telecom subscribers in Nigeria. But we've seen that most of the telecom providers are not indigenous providers. But is there a chance for Nigeria to have more indigenous providers of telecom services and even expand to other parts of Africa?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it's a source of concern. We see what Glo is doing, and I commend what he's doing in terms of even doing certain things. I think they were one of the first telecoms to gain fiber and bringing fiber optic cable into Nigeria and the likes. And those are some of the things that we need to encourage. I think the Nigerian government needs to actively encourage. I know Honorable mentioned, just to mention, because I was following long conversation with Reno Omokri, and he was talking about buying Nigeria, that the more you use Glo services, the more you use services like CSTV instead of DSTV, you use services that are not homegrown, the more FDI we're able to gain, the more our economy becomes stronger. Not to say that these other companies invested in MTN and DSTV are invested enough, and there's a lot of low even at the we need to be able to open our ecosystem for more players. I think barrier entry is a major key in the telecom. So how much from line is smart. I think if I'm right here after is an major company, I would have that kind of regional last mile what's it called now? Like and so on and so forth. And it will be because the barrier of entry into buying that 5 license, that kind of money is huge, is a lot. So every into this space needs to be down. I know when is also one of how Germany and so forth, but yet again, if we are able to open up this more to um, allow local players to play in there by reducing the barrier of entry, then it becomes easier for local content and be a lot of the issues that we face. I think funding also, institutional funding is quite key. Banks and the likes need to be able to come together to be able to actively by themselves, not by when God say, oh, you need to fund a move. It is by them themselves. They are going, seeking to define companies that are willing to and with the competency to be able to do this and sort them finally. So they're able to buy these licenses also and be able to deploy their expertise and their low knowledge into the telecom sector.
All right, let's look at collaboration now. Nigerian tech experts are fast earning global recognition and respect. So what collaborative initiatives can Nigeria implement to have some form of collaboration for training of IT professionals to bridge the gap of shortage of ICT professionals within the region? Since we have lots of them here, and like I said, the tech experts in Nigeria are beginning to earn global recognition. So what is there a market for Nigeria there? Human capital development in ICT.
Yes. Yes. And so when you think of the enormous potential that is there.
Apologies for the glitch there. We have an audio issue with our guest. And while we work to resolve that, it's good for you to know that there are different areas for collaboration for Nigeria when we look at the ICT sector. All right, my guest Ibrahim Sulaiman is back to look at these areas for cross-border opportunities. All right, you were talking about human capital development in ICT sector. Is there a market for Nigeria within African region?
Hello.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So talking about the enormous potential for the Nigerian tech experts in the region, and right now I was saying that a lot of focus is on Europe and North America, and that is because of the earnings that we get from these places. So I think that more regional initiatives, more regional policy initiatives would help divert that focus back into Africa, and also deliberate policies by these regional governments also to say, okay, we are looking for African content. We are looking for local African content. We recognize that Nigeria is a leader on the continent in this area, and we deliberately need to hunt these people to come into our space and help us build what they've done in Nigeria and what they're doing outside Nigeria also. So I think those deliberate government efforts would be able to attract more Nigerian tech experts to focus on the regions. I know a lot of Nigerians also focus on Kenya and South Africa, And to be honest, it is because the earning power there is quite high. So as compared to maybe you talk of Gabon, maybe talk of Niger, or talk of and so on and so forth. So I think that if these kind of things are put in place, whereby Nigerians are able to earn more the way they earn in Nigeria or the way they earn in Europe and so on and so forth in those particular places also, it becomes a proper motivation for them to be able to get into those particular places. I also think that just more collaboration, scaling what we've done in Nigeria in terms of spearheading those kind of things in neighboring countries, that will also help in terms of pushing that agenda. Because the more we go into those particular spaces, pushing the agenda for using tech for inclusive payments, using tech for agro sector, using tech for financial services and so on and so forth, the more we begin to be able to show leadership, bring in our expertise, and be able to also impart and transfer knowledge as we have in Nigeria, and what we be able to solve our challenges also.
Okay, countries like South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, and Tunisia are not doing badly when it comes to technology. What are the chances of a kind of collaboration that would ensure a share of expertise, not just Nigeria wanting to tap into the market, but share expertise here? Because sometimes when there is a gap, it seems like that gap is filled with expatriates. I'm talking about people from the West. But what about sharing expertise within Africa? How can that happen?
Yeah, so and I think it talks to one of the things I mentioned earlier, which is a deliberate need by regional African governments to be able to say we are deliberately looking for sourcing for local African content and not expatriates. And that we believe in our local content in Africa, and we want to use those local content to develop Africa. I think things like the AfCFTA, that's the African Trade Continental Agreement, also needs to be robust enough to also tackle some of these particular issues. So where you have, like in Nigeria, we have the local content policy, where in the oil sector, where it says, oh, you must use a percentage of Nigerian expertise, Nigerian people to be able to do these kind of things. I think that is something that needs to scale into at a continental, sub-regional, or at a continental level also, whereby policies at AU level, policies at ECOWAS level, policies at also regional level are deepening to be able to say we would use local content, so that one, we don't have to pay so much for these expatriates coming into Nigeria. We recognize into the continent. We recognize that our people also have this expertise, and we need to be able to use them to develop our own. So those are some of the things. Those are deliberate actions that need to take place also. And I think also standing as a Nigerian, coming from a Nigerian point of view, like I mentioned also, we need to be able to, if we want to become as Nigerians, if we want to become that tech, if we want to pick that tech leadership role, then our products, our innovation, our hubs need to begin to move out of Nigeria and move into those countries also. That is, and begin to train people, begin to offer exchange programs and so on and so forth, to be able to deepen our stake in the education and impartation of tech in those countries, and that way we'll be able to foster that kind of collaboration that we're looking for, and deepen that continent collaboration that it should be, local content that we're looking for.
Okay, now if Nigeria and other parts of Africa had to be fully embraced, other parts of Africa where you have startups, where you have tech experts providing these services, if they are to be fully embraced and accepted, how can we develop local solutions to needs that are particular to Africa? Wouldn't that be the way to make it accepted if we have apps that address local needs, if we have solutions, tech solutions that address local needs? What is the way to go about that?
Yes, I believe that's already happening. So you see solutions like flutterwave solutions. They're in Kenya, they're in Egypt, they're in South Africa. They are moving into Senegal and so on and so forth, because these solutions, these products, these app products, like you call them, have solved challenges in Nigeria. They've done so well, and they recognize that if it works so well in Nigeria with all of our diverse challenges that exist, then it becomes easier for them to be able to replicate it in those parts also. And of course, not just that those Nigerian companies just take the products, go there and do what other Western countries do here. They engage the local expertise there, because you recognize that okay, local expertise are needed to be able to fine-tune your own product, to be able to meet the challenges of those people within those particular countries. So that is the way to go. Our products need to cross borders. Our products need to embrace local experts to be able to fine-tune the solutions to meet those local needs. And that is how you begin to see that embrace of local products or continental-wide products, just like Flutterwave is doing, just like Paystack is doing, just like MTN is doing. So and so you begin to see these happen as more companies begin to move across border. So, and you see that happening today within the countries that embrace tech a lot. So within Nigeria and Kenya and Egypt. So you see, and South Africa, you see that migration of products and technology to help power their fintechs, power their logistics, and the likes. So yeah, you're very correct.
Okay, a while ago when you were talking about Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, and how they've been able to perform very well in technology, you mentioned that last year they got more funding for technological projects. So apart from funding, or together with funding, what other incentives, what other policies will strengthen local, or should I say, let me not use local because we're about playing transnational, and from there we can get into the international market. So what will go with funding to incentivize and strengthen the ecosystem, the tech ecosystem in Nigeria? Okay, there seems to be a glitch. Okay, go ahead. I can hear you now. All right, let's take a quick break and listen to Austin Okere. We'll be back. If he's back, so that I just asked him one.
No business survives the long run with a mediocre run in it. So we grew up in an era where our parents wanted us to be doctors, engineers, and lawyers. And we carry this on to our children. We want our children to go to university and come out to be doctors, engineers, and lawyers. But that is not our role in their lives. Our role in the lives of our children is to help them to find their purpose, what they are passionate about, and give them the opportunities and the resources to pursue that purpose and achieve that purpose, and if possible, help them to build a business out of it. Realizing that it may be totally a tangent with what we are doing or the business we have built that we're expecting them to come and run. They may not be interested in that. And this is precisely what business schools should also do, to help people to find their passion zone, their purpose, and help them to actualize it and make a business out of it. That is the way in which we can have thriving and sustainable people building businesses that they stay with. If we force them to do what we want them to do, which they don't have the passion for, at best, they'll be mediocre. No business survives the long run with a mediocre running it.
Thank you very much, Austin Okere, for talking to us about how business schools can help entrepreneurs find purpose, because it is not enough to just do business. Your business must be meeting a need. It must have a purpose. Now, for those who are into tech, today we just opened your eyes to what your purpose could be. It should be beyond providing local needs, talking about providing tech solutions for Nigerian needs. It should be also providing tech solutions for African needs, and that's what today's show has been about. We've had Ibrahim Suleiman, who's had over 12 years of dedicated experience in managing softwares and technological projects across diverse sectors. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Suleiman, for being with us on the show today. And it's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow we continue the series exploring the areas for potential growth and collaboration within the African region. I am Blessing Aiche. We ask that you keep watching Souq News. Have yourself a great day.
There's been a lot of fundraise, especially in the tech environment in Nigeria, and there's every need to be cautious, not to think that the fundraise itself is the end point. It's a means to an end. If the job is 100%, the fundraise is just 20. There's still 80% to go. So what you certainly do not do is to raise funds and shortly thereafter go onto social media and brag about the brand new car you bought or the apartment you've moved into in Banana Island. It doesn't make for good optics. And unfortunately, when you really need the benefit of doubt, you might not get it from your investors. You don't raise money and then ask, so what should I do with the money? At that time, it's too late. You've lost the plot. When you raise money, you would have raised it based on the back of an agreement with your investor, clearly outlining how the money will be spent and how the returns will come. It's imperative to stick to that plan. And if anything changes in the environment or in the business and you have to pivot or there's going to be a significant change, it's imperative to then get the buy-in of the investor. The investors are not philanthropists. This is what we need to understand. They are not giving grants. The investors are astute businessmen who are